Hey-de-ohs. So today, I wanted to talk about how old McDonald has a farmer who said hell to the fuck no. Okay, so I watched this video and started looking up a bunch of articles because the topic in the video was getting me a little nervous, and it was about how McDonald's potatoes for their french fries are so mutant and disgusting you would never want to eat them if you knew how they were made. So I wanted to kind of go over some of the facts that I learned about these things, and then we can, as a collective, decide if they need to be run out of damn town, because it's insane what they're doing. Anyway, okay, so there's 4 types of potatoes that McDonald's uses for their french fries. Mainly, especially in America, to give it that long cut so that when they're put in a supersized container from McDonald's with the high arch, the red containers, they stand out and they look like, ooh, I want to grab those, right? It's all marketing. All of this shit is marketing. It's all been thought of. No, they're not randomly sized french fries. Somebody in a lab figured out what length to make them. Creepy. Okay, and so there's Shepodai potatoes. There's Ranger Russet. There's Umatia Russet, which, I mean, come on. Name your potato better. And then finally, there's the Russet Burbank. And the Russet Burbank is, I believe, the most common potato used in McDonald's french fries. And what makes it a unique potato is that it is the shape and size that they need for that long cut. However, this is a potato that's known for getting brown spots throughout the process, whether it's you pick them and they have the brown spots, or over the course of a couple hours to days they get brown spots. Regardless, McDonald's don't like your brown spots, okay? So, what McDonald's does is hires farmers who are willing to spray their potato crop fields with this stuff called Monitor. Monitor is probably made by the devil, aka Monsanto. Look into it. These farmers that use it spray their potatoes with it and then wait 5 days before entering the crop fields to pick the potatoes in hazmat suits because they're so toxic. Like, that's terrifying. And that's not even the worst part. It goes further. To then sit in a room and offshoot all the chemicals that it's taken in for 6 weeks. 6 weeks. It takes 6 weeks for a potato to detoxify itself. And it's not even getting rid of everything, but to detoxify itself enough to be edible. You took something that was perfectly fine and had brown spots. You sprayed it with a chemical that made it Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle style, and now you have to wait 6 weeks before you can even fuck around with it because it has to get rid of toxins in it. That's fucked. It is notoriously known that the word addiction might as well be expelled from any dictionary because they would never admit to food causing an addiction. But do you know what they like to say instead? That it causes craveability or snackability factors. It's the same as an addiction. Could you imagine if we said that about alcohol? Oh, it's just a craveability thing. He has a craveability problem. Really? Like, we're allowing an industry that is supplying every first world country with an obesity epidemic. America at large. For real, this is a problem, and we are letting it be manufactured because we are doing nothing. Because in the eyes of convenience and affordability, it seems like the smart way to go to let corporations fix your food. But stop. Stop. So just a few of the shitty ingredients that McDonald's is pouring into their non-GMO potatoes for their french fries. Soybean, hydrogenated soybean, and canola oil. And with hydrogenated soybean oil, that contains something called TBHQ, which stands for tertiary bultihydroxynoxin. Like, I can't pronounce that. Bultihydroxynoxin. Like, look it up. TBHQ. And do you know what this does? This is serious. This is a serious problem, and I think it's used in more things than we're aware of as a society. But this long name that I can't even pronounce as a basic name for butane, and it's causing nausea, indigestion, and the really harsh one, the lowering of estrogen levels. Which honestly, if we start to look at what foods and what products around the house uses these chemicals that lower testosterone levels or lower estrogen levels or increase estrogen levels in men, like if we start looking at what these chemicals are doing, we're going to start to find out what the cause for birth defects are. We're going to start to find out why fertility is dropping worldwide. We're going to start to find out why frogs can't reproduce. These are all real things that are happening. And everybody wants to jump on board with, oh, this is causing cancer and this is causing lower fertility. No, it's the stuff we're putting into our environment. It's the chemicals that we're ingesting, that we're putting in the environment. It's the water supply. There's so much birth control and water supply. That's what's causing lower fertility in frogs. That's leaking into our water. We're not immune to that. It doesn't hit us directly usually. And that's why we're not stopping it, because it's passing down through generation in our DNA. And we're passing it to our children who are born with defects. And nobody's stopping to say, let's look into what we're eating. Let's look into nutrition. That's another thing that I found out. Nutrition is not well studied in this country, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's not well studied worldwide. And it's because they don't want it to be. They don't want to invest money and time into how people could be better nourished for more inexpensive ways, because then the corporations would hurt. And then maybe we'd actually feed the world. And maybe we could take this abundant food supply that we have and help out everybody around the world rather than just be gluttons here in the States. It's like, come on, really? Like, we could be doing better things and investing money in better things if it weren't going towards fucking lawyers and lawsuits for Monsanto because they're suing fucking every farmer who their seeds blow onto the other farmer's land, and now they're growing Monsanto product and it's contaminated their product. And Monsanto is a greedy, evil corporation, and honestly, people need to start talking about it, because this poisoning of our food is serious, and it's okay if you don't want to think it is, but don't fuck up other people from thinking it is. Don't tell other people that it's not cool to think about what goes into your food. A couple of the other ingredients listed, which are so disgusting: natural beef flavoring. Do you want to know what I learned about all natural ingredients? That means that it is derived from something living. So it could be cow eyelashes. It could be bull testicle. It could be seal blubber. Like, if they say natural ingredient, they're just saying that it was something that was alive. It's natural. It's found in nature. Their all natural beef flavoring is derived from wheat and milk products. So even their French fries are not gluten or dairy free. Doesn't that make you feel gross? A French fry is a potato. Literally, you can make French fries at your house by washing up a potato. I'd recommend organic because potatoes suck in abundant amount of nutrients from the ground. They grow underground. So if you buy any vegetables or fruit, look into the ones you should, but potatoes, high up there. Potatoes should go organic. Don't buy bags of potatoes because they're on sale anymore. They're horrible for you. They also use citric acid, and I think that's used for a preservative. They use dextrose, which is sugar. They're adding sugar into their French fries. Not really that much of a surprise for McDonald's. They're using sodium acid phiphosphorate. It's a word that has so many P's in it. I don't think you need that many PHs. But those are just some of the ingredients. Another one is, now stay with me, kids. Stay with me. I cannot pronounce this. Another one is dimethylpolysiloxane. Whoosh. Like, this stuff, I'm sorry, if you're a chem major, cool, maybe you know what I'm talking about. I don't. I had to look into what all of these mean. They're so gross. But that one is basically to prevent foaming, and it's also found in the product Silly Putty. Awesome! Cool, you're eating Silly Putty ingredients. Gross. What's funny is this video took place over in Britain, and over there they were talking about how their French fries are a lot more they make a lot more sense. And the ingredients in McDonald's French fries over in Britain are just potatoes, sunflower oil, rapeseed oil, and dextrose. Now, still they're adding sugar, and still they're using sunflower and rapeseed oil, two oils that aren't supposed to be used when heated. It's not good for people, but far, far better French fries or chips are being served over in Britain than are being served here. And doesn't that make you wonder why? Why are there 4 ingredients over in British French fries, but there's 19 ingredients in American French fries? Basically, what happened was during World War II, companies started to make meals for soldiers that were going into war that made more sense. Maybe they were microwavable, maybe they were powdered, freeze dried, all of that stuff, because it helped people on the move, it helped people who needed quick, and it packed the nutrients that they needed, or hopefully did. But basically, it made it easy and convenient to eat. And they tried to figure out how to market that. After World War II, they tried to figure out how to market that for commonplace, for anywhere you would go throughout the country. But it wasn't really received that well until the late 60s or early 70s, when women really started to join the workforce. Once that happened, a lot of people in the food industry tried to spin the whole issue that feminism was bad because it was pushing women into workplaces and forcing the home to argue over who was making food. It was a really controversial dinner table subject around the early to mid 70s, where women were going to the workplace, and what the food industry did, besides spinning it to make it look like it was feminism's fault, they also took advantage, and I think the first fast food company that jumped on board was KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, and they had a billboard or an ad that had their big nasty bucket of chicken with 417 fucking pieces of gross nastiness hanging out of the bucket, and right up top, 2 words that said, "Women's Liberation." And it basically told women, you don't have to stay in the kitchen, you don't have to cook. Cooking is a chore, cooking isn't fun. Before this, women would admittedly say that being stay-at-home women, their only enjoyable chore to do is cooking. It was a creative outlet. They had no drive to get rid of cooking. It was kind of brought in out of place. They were like, get somebody to vacuum or iron or do the laundry. Like, we don't like those, but cooking was the fun outlet. So these companies had a lot of work ahead of them, but they knew what to do, and they started showing families, you know what, we're going to do the work for you. Women, go to work. Men, be happy your women are going to work. We're going to take the brunt of the work for you, and we're going to do it. But the only problem here is, yes, people saw convenience. Yes, people saw affordability, but nobody was paying attention to what was in the food. It was becoming a thing of the past. And throughout that decade, it just kind of stormed ahead. And now they're talking about how it is really, really hard to find people who know how to cook, but you'll have tons of people invested in buying books on how to cook, surfing the internet on how to cook, watching the Food Channel on how to cook. And they said 50, 60 years ago, you couldn't have sold a book on how to cook because people were farm to table. People knew where their food was coming from. People were going to co-ops. People knew their farmers. It wasn't what it is now, and we're fooled into thinking this is how it has to be, and it doesn't. Our society started out before the food industry took hold, and we were doing well. And things were good, and people were healthy and eating right. Heart disease was lowered. Obesity was lowered. That's a really cool one. Type 2 diabetes goes down in civilized first world countries where you still cook. It's lower in third world countries where they cook. Heart disease, type 2 diabetes, obesity, all lower when people start to cook in home. When you let a corporation cook for you and you're going out to eat or you're eating fast food, they don't cook the way homes cook. They use tons of, their 3 favorite ingredients are sugar, salt, and fat. And all of them combined in a certain way are very addictive, and it's very powerful. And they know what they're doing. These things are made in labs. Go back to your kitchen, start cooking yourself, and I tell you, you're going to feel a difference. I feel better every time I walk past a Wendy's or a McDonald's and I don't stop, and that's a good thing. Cooking, getting into the kitchen, knowing where your food came from, that changes your health. That is huge. So, with all of this information, I hope I sparked an interest in something. Please investigate something. Take the time to look into the ingredients in the next thing you eat. Maybe you take time in passing that fast food joint just to go to something better or prep something at home. And definitely cut soda. Definitely cut soda. It's huge, and you notice differences right away. But again, I want you to make your choices. Please contribute to a discussion, add comments below, good or bad. Tell me what you think, and thank you for watching. See you tomorrow.